Wayward Courier, Chapter 13. Princess Luna held the strange metal device in her telekinetic grip, rotating it slowly so she could better understand how it operated. It appeared to be an incredibly simple device, utilizing a trigger akin to those found on crossbows, a tube with a small bit of metal poking out of the center of the tip, and a rotating cylinder that contained 6 smaller cylinders. The grip of it was incredibly ornate. A golden bear was a part of it, and there was words engraved on the sides of the tube. Though what they said was a mystery to her, the revolving cylinder itself was a small work of art, an intricate design carved into the metal. What was most intriguing about the device was not what it was, but how it had been put together. It was clear that the parts were not crafted by one individual, or even several. The flawless way the whole thing was put together and how uniform the parts were was enough to indicate to her that this was mass-produced, though how she didn't know. Further evidence of this was found in 6 smaller cylinders. True, they were not without their flaws, but it was clear that those flaws were the result of having been formed with some type of machine, as opposed to by hoof, claw, or talon. The cylinder slid back into the device properly with a satisfying click. Luna looked over the other things that had been taken from the strange alien. While Celestia had taken over the actual meeting with the being, she had been given his equipment, including his weapons. She trusted no other ponies, even the guards, with this. There was just no telling what could happen. She closed one of her eyes and gazed down the small tube, trying to make sense of its purpose. She was so focused on this task that she failed to notice that the door behind her opening, or the loud implosive that immediately followed. What she did notice was the thing being pulled out of her telekinesis and slammed into the table with a terrifying loud bang. "Never!" Some strange biblical thing yelled at her. "Look down the barrel of a loaded gun." Can you believe that? Who the fuck looks down the barrel of a loaded gun? That's gun safety 101 right there. Huh? Was it something I said? Well, may as well explain a bit about this place I was in. First, very white and clean, and by clean I mean sterilized. Seriously, you could use the walls for mirrors in some places. They were that spotless. There were also a ton of guards as well, all wearing that shiny, clean armor and standing around like statues. It was kind of creepy. At least with the Republic's heavy armored troopers and Brotherhood paladins, you can understand with them wearing helmets. Those guys, you could see their faces, and every single one had this blank stare. It's like they were robots or something. It didn't see much of what was the outside, but what I did see, that it was as clear and cloudless it has been when I went to go save those girls. As for the pony that was having a staring contest with my Scuvia, she was a lot like the white one, Celestia, horns and wings. Turns out they were sisters. Anyway, her coat or fur or whatever was a deep purple, kind of like what you get on a moonless night. There was a patch that was even darker on her flank, and there was a crescent moon within that. Makes sense that her name is Luna, I suppose. Her mane and tail, that was like something out of a Saturday morning kid show from before the war. Black as cloudless night and just as starry. Yeah, I said that. Honestly, her mane was filled with sparks of light that really could be described as stars. It was really, really beautiful. And she was eyeballing the barrel of my Scuvia. More specifically, the end of the bullet that came out. Luna just stared in shock, silence as the Bibia grabbed the thing that had been identified as weapons and started pulling bits of it off, as though he was dismantling them. "What is the meaning of this?" she asked angrily. She received no answer. Thinking that she was being ignored, she switched to the Royal Canterlot voice. What does art thou think you're doing? The courier was pushed onto the table by the sheer force of the voice. He let out a short yelp, then this happened. What the fuck was that? He exclaimed loudly as he pushed himself off the table. Unfortunately for everyone in the room, Luna was too upset to stop using the Royal Canterlot voice, though she had returned to conventionally speech. We demand that you explain what you're doing. The courier turned to the gathered ponies he had entered the room with, all 7 of which Luna was still completely unaware of. What did she say, and why is she yelling? The princess of the night turned around and was greeted by the sight of the element bearers, covering their ears, and her sister wearing a smirk. Oh, Luna said quietly, suddenly looking very sheepishly. I didn't see you there. Do not worry about it, sister, Celestia said, still smiling. You were simply too engrossed in what you were doing. Thank goodness you pulled that thing away from you, Applejack muttered. I don't want anything that would have done to you, your highness. Please, all of you, dispense with the pleasantries. You're all my friends, Luna said with a warm smile. And that strange device would have done, and I was told it was a weapon, but how it functions as one I could not tell. I am not sure either, Twilight Sparkle said, taking a step backwards. But he killed 6 diamond dogs with that one. She shuddered at the memory, as did Applejack. I was not aware of this, Luna said, turning to her sister. The diamond dogs he fought had recently taken 3 young fillies as slaves. He only did what he did to rescue them, Celestia said calmly, explained. I see. Luna faced the courier, who had watched this entire exchange in mild confusion, completely unaware of what was being said. He had the scuvia in his lap. Please explain how that device operates, she commanded, pointing at him with a hoof. There was a short silence. He can't understand me, can he? She asked, thoroughly unamused. Can one of you translate for us? The courier asked. Turns out this Luna is capable of amplifying her voice so much that can be actually be weaponized, kind of like a sonic emitter that can't fry electronics. Well, okay, not really. So I ended up getting roped into giving them all my weapons demonstrations. I know, downright crazy. I was not happy with the idea, mainly because I didn't have much in the way of spare primer, powder, or lead. But how could you say no to a group that can pump enough radiation into you to irradiate the whole Nevada? So long, short story, we figured out the language barrier problem again. They led me to somewhere I could shoot without hitting someone, and they watched. Shame they didn't properly contemplate for the penetration. The 8 ponies watched from a safe distance as the courier looked down the sight of his scuvia. They had taken him to the small part of the guard's barracks and set up a target in front of the spare guard armor. Behind the target was a wall, a recent addition to the building, and therefore made from plastered instead of stone. Suddenly, a noise akin to thunder was heard along with a short scream. At first, the princesses thought that one of the castle's wealthier ponies had lost control of their cloud, but they proven wrong. When Twilight Sparkle began muttering, it tore right through. The 7 others looked closer at the armor and saw that it was not only but a hole in the planted on one of the sides. There was a second hole through the other side and a third in the wall. That is really weak metal, the courier commented. You let your guards wear that? He asked. What was that scream? Rarity asked, trying to put down her mane while some had sprung up in shock. As though to answer her question, pained moaning could be heard from the other side of the wall. All 9 occupants of the room looked at each other. Well, fuck, was all the Courier had to say on the matter. Authors note this what happens when I get obsessively bored while at home sick. You get another 1,400 words for your reading pleasure.